So I'm going to sing a couple of English folk songs, and I've picked these three because they are three songs that I think preserve a bit of English history and heritage that people otherwise don't talk about. You know, people quite like talking about working class history now, the HLF will fund that, but this is something a bit more banal almost. This is kind of ordinary life and the way that the English have lived. So the first song is a bit of a miserable one. Wouldn't be a folk gig if I didn't start with a miserable song. It's called Poverty Knock. It's written by a guy called Tom Daniel. It was written quite recently, I think it's sort of 60s, 70s folk revival. So it's not one of the original songs that the Victorian collectors went and gathered. But this guy, Tom Daniel, he worked in a weaving factory kind of at the end of the Victorian era. And he wrote songs about what it was like to be there. And this one's a particularly nice one. And so this is my version of it. Poverty, poverty knock, looming is saying all day. Poverty, poverty knock, gaffers too skinny to pay us. Poverty, poverty knock, keeping one eye on the clock. No, I can guckle when I hear my shuttle say poverty, poverty knock. Up every morning at 5, wonder how we keep alive. Tired and yawning out in the cold morning, it's back to the dreary old drive. Oh dear, we're going to be late. Gaffer is stood at the gate. We're out of pocket, our wages sail docking. We'll have to buy grub on the sleigh. Poverty, poverty knock, looming is saying all day. Poverty, poverty knock, gaffers too skinny to pay us. Poverty, poverty knock, keeping one eye on the clock. No, I can guckle when I hear my shuttle say poverty, poverty knock. And when our wages they'll bring, we're often short of a string. While we are fighting with gaffer for snatching, we know to his breast he will cling. Sometimes a shuttle flies out, gives some poor woman a cloud. She lets her bleed, but nobody's eating, and who's gonna carry her out? Poverty, poverty knock, my lumen is saying all day. Poverty, poverty knock, gaffers too skinny to pay us. Poverty, poverty knock, keeping one eye on the clock. No, I can guckle when I hear my shuttle say poverty, poverty knock. Tuna should tackle my loom, he'd rather sit on his bum. He's far too busy caught in our Lizzie, I just cannot get him to come. Lizzie's so easily led, reckon he takes her to bed. She always was skinny, now look at her penny, it's just about time they was wed. Oh, how my poor head it sings, 'cause I should have woven 3 strings. My threads they are breaking, my back is aching. Oh dear, how I wish I had wings. So it's there's a small genre of folk songs. This is one of them. There's a few other ones where they're written about or at just the end of the Victorian period, just as things like workers' rights and sending your children to school and health and safety were starting to be concerns, and they preserve just this little bit of history that I think a lot of people kind of forget about when you're sitting in your office having a fight with health and safety legislation that you'd frankly rather not be bothering with.
So one of the other great traditions of folk music, and certainly what we know from the earliest folk music that we have records of, kind of Elizabethan era, late 1500s, is it was often sung a cappella. Musical instruments were, and still are, complicated to make and were bloody expensive, and so almost no one owned them. So what you'd normally have was what was called a three-man song, or a three-man song. You'd have three blokes, normally blokes, but not always, who would sing in parts, not in harmony like we would know it, so harmony, two notes at once that sound nice, but more like an opera or a musical, where someone would sing a verse as one character and then another verse as another character. And this means, of course, that the tradition of a cappella singing is very ancient in England. You still see it in sort of sea shanties and stuff. So this piece, the next one I'm going to do, is not originally written to be an a cappella tune, but I think it comes together really nicely. And so we have that tradition. We also have a tradition in English folk music of a kind of, certainly a kind of patriotism. The kind of romantic patriotism that loves the rolling hills of Kent and the mountains of the Lake District more than it loves the great Victorian industrial heartland. So this is a piece by Maggie Collins, and it's called A Place Called England. I rode out on a bright May morning like a hero in a song, looking for a place called England, trying to find where I belong. Couldn't find the old flood meadow or the house that I once knew, no trace of the little river or the garden where I grew. I saw town and I saw country, motorway and sink estate, rich man in his rolling acres, poor man still outside the gate. Retail park and Burger Kingdom, prairie field and factory farm, run by men who think that England's just a place to park their car. But as the train pulled from the station through the wastelands of despair, from the corner of my eye a brightness filled the filthy air. Someone's grown a patch of sunflowers, though the soil is sooty black, marigolds and a few tomatoes right beside the railway track. Down behind the terraced houses, in between the concrete towers, compost heaps, scarlet runners, secret gardens full of flowers. Meter grows her scented roses right beneath the big jet's path. Bitter fortune for her garden, Eileen turns away and laughs. So rise up, George, and wake up, Arthur. Time to rouse out from your sleep. Deck the horse with sea green ribbons. Drag the old sword from the deep. Hold the light for Dave and Daniel as they tunnel through the clay, while the oak in all its glory soaks up sun for one more day. Come all you at home with freedom, whatever the land that gave you birth. Room for you, both root and branch, as long as you love English earth. Room for thorn and room for orchid, room for all to grow and thrive. Just less room for the fat landowner on his arse in the Virgin Isles. For England is not flag or empire, it's not money, it's not blood. It's limestone gorge and granite fell, it's wheeled in clay and seven muds. Blackbird singing from the May tree, a lark ascending through the scales, robin watching from your spade, and English earth beneath your nails. So here's two cheers for a place called England, sore abused but not yet dead. Mr. Harding, sort of England, hanging in there by a thread. Here's two cheers for the crazy diggers, now their hour shall come around. We shall plant the seed they saved us, commonwealth and common ground. Thank you. So one of the other arguments, if you are a folk scholar, if you fancy yourself as a doctor of folk music, is how left-wing English folk music really is. There was a kind of, in the 70s and 80s, there was a Marxist tradition that really wanted these old folk songs to be the authentic cry of the proletariat. And it turns out that's very rarely the case. Quite a lot of folk songs are about drinking and women and fighting, and they're not the kind of pure, optimistic proletarian morality that these Trotskyists wanted to find. but they're not entirely wrong. There's always a little bit of politics in a folk song. So my last song's a bit of a favourite of mine. It's originally a shanty. This one's very old. It's the oldest one in my set, 1800s. And like a lot of shanties, it was initially sung as quite a kind of raucous tune. A group called the Fisherman's Friends do quite a good version of it, which is quite boisterous. And it's a song about going away from the person you love and going off to sea and sailing and doing what you have to do. And it's an experience that these sailors experience in their own way, but I think it's something that's kind of a universal human experience. There are things that part you from the people you care about. And I think perhaps the most important thing that folk music can do is remind us that these human experiences are universal, not just because I miss someone or because you miss someone, but because across the world people have missed each other, and they've loved each other, and they've been angry with each other. And you see it in English folk music, and you see it in Arabic dances, and you see it in Indian songs, and you see it in Native American tunes. All these kind of raw human emotions that are not processed through any need to be popular or artistically profound, but are just what it is to be a person. It's quite existentialist. So this last tune is called The Leaving of Liverpool, and I'm quite fond of Liverpool, so it seems like a good one to do. Fare thee well, the Prince's landing stage, River Mersey, fare thee well. I'm bound for California, it's a place that I know right well. So fare thee well, my own true love. When I return united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that grieves me, my darling, when I think of thee. I'm bound to California by way of the stormy Cape Horn, and I'll write you a letter, my love, and I am homeward bound. I'm bound on a Yankee clipper ship, Davy Crockett is her name, and the captain's name is Burgess. They say that she's a floating shame. So fare thee well, my own true love. When I return united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that grieves me, but my darling, when I think of thee. It's my second trip with Burgess in the Crockett. I think that I know him well. If a man's a seaman, he can get along. If he's not, then he's sure in hell. Fare thee well to Lower Frederick Street, and St. Terrace and Park Lane. I think it will be some long time before I see you again. Oh, I am bound away to leave you. Goodbye, my love, goodbye. And there's one thing only that grieves my mind. It's the thought of leaving you behind. So fare thee well, my own true love. For when I return united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that grieves me, but my darling, when I think of thee. But my darling, when I think of thee. Thank you. Have a lovely day.